Hi
Hi.
guys,
Hi.
it's Sarah and Carla, and we got Betty here today. Looking forward to another amazing talk about nutrition. How was your weekend, Carla? Did you get to see any of the crafts?
I did. I watched little bits and pieces, but I was out walking Betty in the wind and the rain, which was quite unusual for Betty. But I think your weekend looked a little bit more exciting than mine at Crufts.
Yeah, did you see? I was like literally dressed up like head to toe in this like full-on bulldog outfit. It was amazing, but it was so much fun because I literally just, put the dog outfit on and just kind of away we went and just had an absolute
Just
laugh.
amazing.
Yeah, I'm just making sure everything's working okay. Guys, if you can hear the sound, can you give Carla a few little love hearts? Let us know that you're there. Say hi. Don't be shy. Today is going to be a huge, 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 big talk. So I'm really, really, really excited. I just can see that people are starting to jump on. So that's good. So, Carla, what are we talking about tonight?
Tonight, I have called this talk the Big Con. And when I do my talks, my like normal live talks to people, this is one of my favourite sections because people are always really quite shocked at how a lot of the big pet food companies can get away with saying what they say. But then when you actually turn the bag round and read the pet food labels, how actually the front and the back don't actually match. So again, that kind of goes back to the importance of knowing how to read pet food labels and really finding out and knowing yourself what you're putting in your dog's bowl and not just trusting what pet food manufacturers say about it. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, I'm just laughing because at the minute when you were just talking, you had Betty's ears perfectly on each side on your chin.
My
No,
little
we've
sidekick. I don't think
yeah,
she's going
yeah,
to be moving anytime soon. Okay,
all right.
she hasn't paid me any attention all day. As soon as I sit down, she's like, "Yeah, I think I'll sit on your knee now."
Do you know what? I think we've got another Frank and Lulu in the making. You know what it's like when we do the live streams on here, and every time they decide at that moment that's the time to have a row. So I know everyone's really excited. We've got people jumping on. Everybody just start commenting. Let us know where in the country you're messaging from. Let us know if you're a dry feeder or raw feeder, wet feeder. Everybody's welcome. I am really, really excited, but I have to admit, Carla, I'm going to let you just take the floor. I'm a little bit scared.
Don't be scared. Nobody be scared. So it's going to be a little bit of a different thing tonight. Normally I'm just talking, which I will be just talking. So I'm going to run through a little few key points, just talking, and then I'm going to be kind of like picking pet foods up and talking about them and stuff. So if I'm kind of like ducking in and out of shot, that's kind of why. So you might have to bear with me and having the small fairy child on my knee, which is going to make it quite difficult, but never mind. So, pet food companies are literally a lot of the big companies are multi-billion pound companies. So they have a huge amount of money to spend on expensive TV ads, packaging, and a huge budget for marketing. So a lot of the food that we buy, sort of like a tin of dog food, probably literally only maybe 10 pence of that. If it's a pound, probably only 10 pence of that money is actually the ingredients themselves. The rest will be packaging, marketing, TV ads, all that kind of thing. Because they've got so much money to spend, that's the thing. And that's the sad part. About the raw food industry at the minute. Oh hi, no kissing now. That's the sad thing with the pet food industry. At the moment, hopefully things will change, but they just don't have the big budgets to spend on the marketing and TV ads and stuff like that. So you don't get to see them on the telly, which is quite sad. A lot of the big pet food companies are very clever. They use a lot of buzzwords, sort of like natural, healthy, and obviously they're not lying in some senses because the food, a lot of the food inside will be natural, but it will be feathers and beaks and trotters and sinews. Well, yeah, you can say that that is natural. Of course it is. It's part of an animal. But is that what you would want to feed day in, day out, all the
No.
time, without any good quality muscle meat behind it? I don't think so. So that's that you've got to look past the buzzwords. One of the companies that you see on the telly all the time at the moment is Tails, tailored to your dog's needs, which is absolutely not right at all. A lot of people that misconstrues what the food actually is, and people take that as in they tick all these boxes and the food is actually tailored, as in made for their dog, which isn't correct. They have maybe half a dozen, 10 recipes, and they fit your dog into that box. But because when the food comes, it's got your dog's name on it. I mean, how cute's that? Everybody say, oh,
Absolutely. Who doesn't want that?
exactly. So you sucked in straight away. Um, so a few things too, which we'll probably go through a little bit more to understand, is if a pet food says with chicken or with beef or with lamb, by law it only actually has to have 4% of chicken or beef or lamb in. If it
4%,
says,
the whole product only has to be.
yeah, 4%, then the rest will just be meat and animal derivatives, which could be absolutely anything at all. It could be from any animal, from any part of the animal. You just absolutely have no clue. You just don't know. The same as if it says with carrots, it only has to have 4% carrots in, or with peas, it only has to have 4% peas in.
Sorry, you know what I'm like? So that term with, that's the differentiate. Yeah. Anything that says with means 4%. That's the legal
4%.
obligation.
4%, that's all it has to have in. If it says chicken flavour or beef flavour or lamb flavour, it doesn't actually by law have to have any chicken in or lamb in or beef in or whatever it says. So it just has to be chicken flavour. Well, you're not going to taste it yourself to see if it tastes of chicken, are you? You're going to have to just take their word for it. So again, this is how it's so misleading. Another thing we have talked about previously is ingredient splitting, which is a massive, massive problem. So it's so misleading because you look at the pet food label, even when you can read it, and often, you know, it'll say meat 20%, so you think, oh well, 20%, and then it'll have 3 other things split into 15, and then you've actually got more rice or more peas or more whatever. So that's another major thing to look out for when you're looking at pet food and reading pet food labels. Animal derivatives is a massive problem. They use this as an umbrella term. So animal derivatives can be anything at all, from any part of the animal, any kind of animal, which again causes huge problems for people with dogs with food intolerances, because you just do not know what's in there. So I always say stay clear away from anything like that. Again, the same with vegetable derivatives. It's just an umbrella term. So vegetable derivatives, what would that be? That could be anything. It could be from any vegetable. Again, if your dog's got food intolerances, that isn't good. But vegetable derivatives, it's not really going to be kind of your nice, fresh, whole veg. It's more likely to be the peelings, the leaves, the roots, all the kind of things that are left over from the human food industry. So it's definitely not the good stuff. So anything that says that, always stay well clear of. Again, cereals, I wouldn't buy anything with cereals in. A, because I don't think dogs should eat any kind of cereals, full stop. But again, that's just an umbrella term that they use, so they don't have to specify what it actually is. Is it maize, which is corn basically? Is it rice? Is it wheat? You just don't know, because they've just bunged cereal on. And again, the reason that they use these loose terms, these umbrella terms for cereals, animal derivatives, vegetable derivatives, is so they can also change the ingredients as often as they want. So, Yeah, they can just, so if say it's animal derivatives, say if 1 week, month, whatever, chicken's really cheap, it'll have more chicken in it. If 1 week beef's cheap, they'll stick more beef in it, but it'll be just exactly the same labelling. Is it the labelling
Yeah,
will change? Because can you imagine how much of a pain that would be for them having to change the label all the time?
huge amount of hundreds of thousands of pounds if you think some of these big brands
Exactly,
in the
exactly.
UK.
But
So
then,
what kind of effect could that have? Sorry, what kind of effect could that have, I suppose, on dogs that have got certain really sensitive allergies?
horrendous, absolutely horrendous, and that's the problem, um, because you wouldn't know. I mean, I'm going to show you a tin of pedigree, and Betty can actually have chicken and vegetables, but he does have food sensitivities. So if I hadn't known what I'd known now, I would have thought, oh, pedigree, chicken and veg, Betty can have that. But really, when you turn it over and look at the back, it's actually 33%. It's 4% chicken and 33% animal derivatives, which could be anything: beef, lamb, pork. I wouldn't know. So that's a real concern. Crude protein, when you look at that, that's the amount of protein in the food. But the problem with this, on the label, it doesn't actually specify where the proteins come from. Has the protein come from the meat or the vegetables? Or like the wheat and things like that. But it doesn't specify how much is from the animal protein and how much is vegetable protein. Now, as we spoke about on other talks, vegetable protein is very difficult for a dog to digest, because it's not really a natural diet for it. It's all right in small amounts, but you wouldn't want 50% of your dog's diet to be made up from vegetable protein. It's just not what you want. Or from cereals. Crude fibre. This is Betty, the amount of she's laying down now. I've got like one arm.
Yeah.
That's the amount of fibre that's in the food, kind of from the grains and the vegetables. Again, you don't necessarily know which it's from. Crude fat, that can be from the animal fat and also from the fat that's sprayed on or added to the food at the end after it's been extruded. So again, you don't know how much is good fats and how much is bad fats. Ash, a lot of people wonder what ash is when they see that on pet food labels. And basically all ash is the mineral content that's left over when all the other nutrients are burnt away. So we'll start having a little look at some of the things that I've got here and having a little chat and see what you think. I'll show you the pedigree one first, because that's what we've just been talking about. So can everyone see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
A little bit higher, but we can see who you're talking about. Yeah.
As you can see, with chicken and vegetables. So to me, that looks perfectly self-explanatory. And why would anyone question that? You wouldn't. You would just think you're giving your dog chicken and vegetables. But then when you look on, it says meat and animal derivatives, 33%, including 4% chicken. Then we've got cereals, which again, as we've already said, could be anything from wheat, barley, bran, rice, anything we don't know. And then we've got a mix of 4% carrot and peas and some derivatives of vegetables. So again, we don't know what that would be, whether it would be the peelings and stuff. So personally, I find that very, very misleading. One of my all-time favourites to talk about on my talk is the Webox roll. Can everyone see the Webox roll?
Yeah.
And this one says with beef and vegetables, and also says with added barley. Can you see that? Added basil. Can you see that? It says made with fresh meat, wheat and gluten free, and contains a natural prebiotic to promote digestion. Well, as a regular pet owner, I would read that and think, actually, that actually sounds pretty good. But then when you read it, the composition, is meat and animal derivatives. So obviously we know what that is. Could be
And that's
anything.
the first ingredient, so that's what it's got the most of. Is that right?
That's the most. Then we've got 4% beef, 4% carrots, 4% peas, derivatives of a vegetable origin. Now this is what makes me laugh. It's got 0.4% chicory extract. Now that's why they're saying it's got a natural prebiotic in. Basically, it's just some fibre, so that's a bit of a con. 0.4%. And then the thing that I find absolutely hilarious was the added basil. It's got 0.06% basil.
So how's that even basil? I mean, you just
It's not. I have like this vision in my mind of in the factory. There's like a little guy putting like one little dot of basil, sprinkling it in, just like the teeny tiniest amount. And I just think that that is such a con. It's so misleading because people are going to be thinking, "Oh, beef and veg and added basil. That sounds great." And it's just not. It drives me absolutely insane. We'll do the other wet food that I've got, chappy or crappy as I like to call it. I know some people swear by it and say, you know, it's the only thing that works for the dogs, blah blah blah. But the reason I think that this does work for some dogs is because it's very low fat. But that doesn't mean to say you couldn't feed a natural diet that was very low fat that would work equally as well and be healthy, because the actual ingredients in this are absolutely horrendous. When you look on All About Dog Food, the ingredients in this, practically everything is just in bright red, which basically means that it's bad. So we've got fish and fish derivatives, so it's exactly the same with fish derivatives. It could be the skin, the scales, the mashed up bones, the heads, any kind of fish, so we don't know what kind of fish it is. Then we've got 14% white fish, so at least we know that's not too bad. Then again, we've got cereals, and then we've got meat and animal derivatives, including 4% chicken. And then with this one, if I'm not mistaken, on All About Dog Food, it highlights that it's got antioxidants in, but not the natural kind like that you'll get from a blueberry or raspberries or anything like that. It's the chemical kind. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure it's the one that's not very good. That's the best way.
basically, for anybody who doesn't kind of, Carla just referenced, by the way, if I'm okay to say, Carla, allaboutdogfood.co.uk. So Carla obviously tries to cover as much as she possibly can, guys. If you're worried about your dog's food, go on to allaboutdogfood.co.uk. And what Carla just mentioned about the red, if your dog food has got loads of things in red, and Carla's not able to cover it today.
Yeah, the only thing I must point out about All About Dog Food, I used to absolutely rave about it, but it has actually gone down in my estimations a little bit recently. I still think it's an absolutely brilliant tool. I personally wouldn't feed anything that wasn't over a 4.5, although I don't really rate their rating system anymore. I used to. I think it's a really good tool to use to look at ingredients, because it has all the ingredients in there, shows bad things in red, but it doesn't show rice as red. Now, in my opinion, rice is not good for a dog, especially not in the quantities that's in some of the foods. And I was looking at Burns the other day because somebody was asking me about Burns, and I had a look at it, and I was actually horrified to find that it was rated at a 3.5. And when I looked, it had something like 63% rice in. How can you possibly rate a dog food when we've already talked about this loads of times and on the other talks that a dog is a facultative carnivore, it needs meat to thrive on, and yet their food is 63% rice. Could be wrong, it might be just under that or just above that.
Then, is it?
Round about that. So can you imagine if you took away, did all the sums, how much sugar that food would be? It's probably like 3/4 of a bag of sugar, but yet it's still got a 3.5. I'd have given that like a 1.
Yeah. Would you say that's a bag of cereals, Carla?
Sorry?
Would you say that's almost on a par with having that much rice
absolutely.
full of.
Yeah. I mean, they obviously deem cereals being worse than rice, but I don't, because they're both really high carb. They both shouldn't be fed to a dog. So to me, they're equally as bad. But for some reason, they don't see it that way and still rate these foods that are massively high in rice. It's like 3.5. But I still love all about dog food, and anything that I'm not sure about or I don't know about, I will go on there because they do have the ingredients, and it's easy to look at, it's easy to understand. And I do like that they have like the little wheels at the bottom, so you can see where the protein is and where the carbs are and stuff like that. So if you think, no, I wonder how high carb it is, most of them are like off the scale, they're like right round as far as they can go. But that's a good indicator for people that don't, really understand or find it a little bit difficult to work it out themselves. So I'm just going to pick a few of these other dry foods up. Which one shall we go for?
Yes.
Got our lovely wag, and we see that, and it's got the nice British sign, so everybody will love that and think it's made in the UK. Healthy from nose to tail, so of course, you know, people love the dogs, they'll see that and think, oh great, I'm feeding a nice healthy food. So again, we've got with, the key word, how they put it very little, with chicken and veg. Kennel complete. So we've got B vitamins. It says stamina on the bottom, which I find that quite hard to believe. What else does it say? Joint support and healthy skin. Well, I know some dogs fed on wag and they don't have healthy skin. That is one thing I can say for absolute sure. So we've got composition. First ingredient, cereal. So that's what the highest amount of food in there. So basically that will be mostly wheat, bran, rice, God knows whatever else. Then we've got meat and animal derivatives, 20%, including, it's 5% chicken in brown chunk. Sounds pretty disgusting. Brown chunk. Then we've got 4% peas, and we've got some minerals, yeast, MOS, 0.1%, citrus extract and yucca extract. How awful is that? And it's 22% protein, but I can guarantee that a good chunk of that protein will be from the cereals, which is so hard for your dog to metabolize and break down. And this kind of thing is when people are worried about giving the dog high protein diets because it's bad for the kidneys. It's this kind of stuff that'll wreck your dog's kidneys, not a high protein fresh raw diet. I'll pop that one down there. What else have we got? Our lovely pedigree, small dog. See how it's got all the nice bright colours in there, which is just pretty rank, because if you want to feed your dog nice bright coloured things, put some nice fresh broccoli or raspberries or all the good stuff into your dog's bowl, not this. What does it say? Adult vital protection, specially designed for a small dog. Again, let's have a little look. We've got on the back oral care, digestion, healthy skin and coat, and good for the immune system. Absolute rubbish. How can any food that's extruded and baked 4 times before it even gets to your dog's bowl, how can that be good for the immune system? It can't. So, composition, again, first thing on the label is cereals, meat and animal derivatives. Oh, they've all seem to have 4% chicken in, and this has got it in brown kibbles. So that's what the brown bits are, 4% of chicken. This has got sunflower oil in, vegetable origins, 2%, dried beet pulp. Now they normally put that in because it makes your dog's poop firm, because obviously this kind of stuff, a lot of dogs will just be, how can I say it without sounding too disgusting?
Falling out of their backside is how
Thank you. Yes, yeah. And a lot of people, when they raw feed, get worried about the dog straining to poop. They should have to strain a little bit to have a poop. Where kibble fed dogs, they literally just open the bum and it falls out because it's just not nice. Not all of them, but some of them. Then we've got our science plan, which anyone who feeds this will know this is Betty's like, ooh, what's that? That looks nasty. Can you move your head, please? Can you move your head? She's not very compliant.
Go left, go left.
My assistant is not being very compliant. So can you see this? Now, anybody that feeds this will know that this is probably 4 times the price of the other one that we've just spoke about. But really, the ingredients, I wouldn't say, are a great deal better. But this is sold in a lot of vets practices, and it looks very professional. Science plan, which makes you think, oh, that sounds really good. It's sold in the vet, so it must be good. What does it say on the front? Strong immunity and long life. Doubt it. Healthy vital organs, oral health. How feeding a dry food can be any good for your dog's oral health, I have no idea. Joint and mobility support.
Rock solid. It takes the plaque off, apparently.
It takes the plaque off. Oh, yeah.
I'm joking.
It's like when we eat digestive biscuits, they clean our teeth, don't they? Ridiculous. Anyway, Betty, you are totally going to fall any minute now. If you hear a clunk, it's just Betty falling off my knee. So we've got composition. So with this one, obviously the other ones were cereals first on the list, where this one is dried chicken and turkey. So at least we actually know what meat is in there, which is a little bit better. But then straight after that, we've got maize, which is corn. Again, dogs shouldn't eat that. And again, your corn and your maize will have glyphosates in, which we talked about last time for the people who watched. Then we've got brown rice, brewer's rice, wheat, barley, oats, so lots and lots of cereals in there as well. But instead of it just saying cereals, they're actually listed on this one. But again, for all it's a lot more money, and it does have meat listed first, I wouldn't particularly say it's like a million times better than the cheaper ones.
How would you rate it though, compared to where we are in the queue? Compared to the country? Oh, there you go. There's $1 million question for you, Father.
Probably sort of like your bakers are at the bottom. That's kind of a little step up from the bottom. Then you've got like middle of the road Cannigans and stuff like that. Then you've got your Attus and your Edens and Millie Wolfharts and stuff like that. They're further at the top. Again, our bakers, tasty with chicken and country vegetables. Again, look at all those bright colours. Awful.
That dog looks so happy. How can that be bad?
How happy he is. I don't know, the bakers adverts, I mean, they're absolutely amazing, aren't they? Like, to be fair, they always make me want to smash my telly in because I know what's in the food and I get really, really angry. My mum, Betty's like, oh God, my mum's kicking off at the telly again, but I can't help it. But the actual adverts are so good, and that just goes to show how much money they have to put into the budget. But they should be putting the money into the food. What goes into the food, not the budget. So again, first on the list, we've got cereals, and it says in brackets whole grains, 53% whole grains in that. And to me, that is a very clever use of words, because as humans, we all know that we should be eating whole grains now instead of like white rice. We should be eating brown rice. So that kind of feeds into what we think. But dogs shouldn't be eating any grains, whether they're whole grains or not whole grains. They just shouldn't be eating them. Meat and animal derivatives, 15% in chunk. Don't really know what that means. Derivatives of a vegetable origin, vegetable protein extracts. Now the only reason that would be in there is to bump up the protein level. Just rubbish. 0.06% dried vegetables. Protein 21%. Again, most of that will be through the cereals and whole grains. This one, somebody actually gave me this to give to the dog shelter, but I wouldn't even give it to the dog shelter. I've kept it for me talks, because as you know, I do some home cooking on a weekend for the dog shelters. So I wouldn't dream of giving them this rubbish. And this one,
Go on, show us then.
this one, sorry, it's quite heavy. This one, can you see? It says, what does it say? Made with
natural.
natural selected ingredients. And can you see how like great it looks? And look at all those good stuff on the bottom there. It says, I'm trying to read back to front, which is quite difficult.
Yeah, so it says they're puppy up to a year, no artificial colours, flavours, and I can't see what you've got below that.
Yeah, but that sounds amazing, doesn't it? No, people are going to look at that and think, oh, it's got no artificial colours. It's all natural.
Purina. I find something about the Purina label really medical. Does that make sense? I noticed that at Puffs.
And that's why they have it like that, because it makes you think that it's really good. But then when you look at the ingredients in this, and again on the back it tells you all how great it is and how good it's going to be for your dog. And again, it's not Becky, careful, sweetheart. Just run through this one quickly because it's very, very much the same as all the other ones. Cereals, 48% whole grain, meat and animal derivatives. And the annoying thing, I don't know if you can see, where it's got on... Oh, Betty.
Betty, that can't wait as much as you do. Bugger off.
Tell you what, she will not move. Where it says meat and animal derivatives, it's got like little love hearts next to it. Like it's a good thing. I'm like, it's not a good thing. You're just naughty tonight, you. Right, last one of the foods, and then we'll go on to treats a little bit, and then we'll just have a little chat if anybody's got any questions. Royal Canin, another one that looks very...
Oh, after this weekend. Oh, and you've chosen that one as well.
Yes.
See what happened this weekend.
It's crazy, isn't it? Absolutely crazy.
Oh, I think they've lost themselves a lot. Someone's going to be in a lot. Can I just say, the reason someone's going to be in a lot of trouble is because, just to put some information, not to go on tangent, because this is Carla's session. The Kennel Club put out, I know this because of Lucille, so I'll do it really quick. The Kennel Club asked every vendor not to use like unhealthy brachycephalic breeds in their advertising where it was not relevant. So, for example, Lucille, who we met at Lucille, I'll pop the picture below because I saw George yesterday. The Lucille's amazing for the folds, and we know everything is fabulous stuff. She had a brachycephalic in the show brochure. Croft signed it off, right? But what happened was there was a group out there that doesn't like brachycephalics. I can't say that word. Kicked off. And what did Royal Canin do? They turned around and said, we're sorry, we put a poster of a bulldog up, and they have just completely destroyed a market that they've actually been trying to sell to. But in about 30 seconds' time, Carla's going to be telling you, for nutritional reasons, why you shouldn't be giving it to them in the first place.
Well, Royal Canin, the amount of times I see this recommended on dog groups, oh yes, I feed my bulldog, the bulldog one, I feed my Frenchie, the Frenchie one, and I will hold my hands up, and I don't blame anybody who's been suckered into it, because when Betty was a puppy, she was fed the French Bulldog puppy formula because I thought it was amazing, and obviously if it was specially formulated for a French Bulldog, it must be absolutely great. How foolish. But again, the marketing is so good. So this one, the marketing. Do you want to go down? And I just put her down. You're a little monster tonight. Oh, you're a heavy monster as well. Are you ready? Look, you've got your legs stuck now. There you go. Good girl. Good girl. So this one is, which it could probably be another topic altogether, is the breed specific one, and it's basically saying that this shaped biscuit is good for a pug to be able to eat, which is just pretty ridiculous. Again, it looks very medical, so it looks really good. Healthy skin, muscle tone, no. Ideal weight, no. It's full of carbs. This will not give your dog muscle tone and a healthy weight at all. So the composition of this one, the first ingredient, now bearing in mind how expensive is Royal Canin, the first ingredient in the composition is rice. So the most ingredient in your Royal Canin is actually rice. So that was more or less like the bakers and the other foods.
Can I let you into a little secret as well about Royal Canin? Just because just because it's topical. There's a lady that's just commented about her vets recommended Royal Canin and are against raw. Do you know why the vets recommend Royal Canin?
Oh, why? Come on.
I went to the University of Liverpool. Guess who sponsors the vets?
Royal Canin. Well, one of the lovely Steph from Steph's Pantry in Leeds was doing going all the way around Crufts, and she was the Nature's Menu raw stand was right next to the Royal Canin one, and they were doing a poo bag challenge. So they were giving everybody a week's worth of free raw food just to show how much less poo they would have. And it showed the stand was buzzing, everybody was talking, everybody's wanting to find out more. And then in the background was the Royal Canin stand, and it was like totally empty. So I think I was like that, yeah. So I think people actually really are starting to cotton on. Thank God. So yeah, rice is the first ingredient in this food. I can't remember. I mean, can you imagine me having to go and buy this food? I was like loath to buy it, and then I felt myself explaining to the girl, I don't actually feed this food, you know. And she was looking at me like, I don't really care.
You were the only person with a bracket breed.
A lot of the dentist sticks and stuff I bought in the supermarket, and I was thinking, pray God I don't see anybody that I know, because they'd be like, oh yeah, you do all these jobs and you buy in dentist sticks. I was like, oh, they're not for me.
Oh.
So again, we've got rice, then we've got dehydrated poultry protein. So what is dehydrated poultry protein? Oh, look at those lovely kisses.
Sorry, I didn't want to distract, but otherwise she's going to kick off on the floor.
Dehydrated poultry protein could be anything. Could be any kind of poultry protein. It could be beaks. It could be feathers. It could be feet. It could be absolutely anything. Then we've got the usual stuff. Hydrolyzed animal proteins, maize, wheat flour, maize gluten, maize, just absolute rubbish. So we'll do a little bit on some treats.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what you've picked up.
Look at these bad boys. Nice. They absolutely stink, actually.
Oh yeah, you know when you go into somewhere that's not really a pet shop, but they've got some stuff there for dogs that, like, yeah,
this kind of thing. So not only is this rawhide rolls, as they're called, which are absolutely rank. Anybody who's seen any of the stuff that Rodney Habib's done on the rawhide, it's like chemically treated and bleached to within an inch of its life. And then that isn't bad enough. These have then been dyed with horrendous some kind of colouring, which I just absolutely wouldn't even dream of giving my dog. I mean, anything that looks like that, you know, just to absolutely avoid like the plague. These Misfits, I used to actually give Betty when she was a pup, because I thought they looked like a little bit of a step up from the pedigree stuff, and I used to think they looked like a little bit posh. So I used to buy them for Betty, thinking that she was getting like a nice treat. But then now when I look at the back, I'm like, oh my God. Derivatives of a vegetable origin, God knows what that is. Cereals, God knows what that is. Meat and animal derivatives, God knows what's in. It does say including 10% meat though, so at least you know they've got 10% meat in. Then it's got oils and fat in, various sugars. Why would you want to feed your dog various sugars? You just absolutely wouldn't. But when you look at it, mouth-watering morsels sound amazing. And yeah, don't get me wrong, dogs will love them. It's like feeding your kids like the worst treat ever, like chunks of McDonald's. Jumbo, anybody give these? Jumbo, Pooh Betty, she used to get these as well, and absolutely love them. Cereals, meat and animal derivatives, chicken meat meal, which is basically just rendered down chicken. Again, various sugars. Now they put stuff like that in because it's so addictive for dogs, as it is for us. You know how addictive donuts and biscuits and stuff like that. But why would you want to give that stuff to your dog? You just wouldn't. Dentist sticks. Everybody's dog loves the dentist stick.
Oh, I've got some good ones. I'll show you downstairs in a minute.
Daily oral care. Vet recommended by vets as well. We've always got that on. But again, pretty very similar. Cereals, animal derivatives, vegetable derivatives, and then oils and fats. Again, no wonder dogs love them because it's just basic junk food. I have got other bits if you want me to talk about them. A few.
Yeah, of course.
Like more of a natural, healthy alternative that you could give instead of those. So instead of your dentist sticks, you could replace with the good old duck neck or chicken necks, a nice little dried chicken foot, or you've got your all those things. You'll have absolutely loads of stuff on your site that you can replace them with. You could maybe put a list of all the replacements up on the thread, and things like dehydrated snacks instead of kind of giving that, you would give something like this, which is basically just a dehydrated raw treat. So when you look at the composition of this, where is the composition? Composition is 60% venison, 10% peas, 10% swede, 7% carrots, 5% apples, and 4% blueberries. So now do you see the difference in something like this?
Let's be honest, guys. Do we think it comes down a little bit also to money? This whole, and we've all done it, right? Like this whole thing of like, oh, I'd rather like quantity over quality. You're better off spending the money on what Carla's just showed you on the Country's Hunter, which will cost you 3 times as much as the cheap stuff, and not give it every day.
Instead of giving them 3 lots of treats, which dogs really don't need. And plus, you don't want to be giving them loads of treats because even the best treats, you're still making the blood sugar spike. So give them 1 or 2 of them a day instead of half a dozen of the misfits. I would much rather give a quality over a quantity. Again, as in a wet food Country Hunter, instead of sort of the pedigree or the Webbox. Obviously, this is going to be a lot more money, but it does actually say what it is on the tin, pardon the pun, which is 80% beef.
Actually telling the truth then.
Yeah, sorry, 80% beef. Can you see that? And then when you see on the back, it says a minimum of 80% beef. Then you've got sweet potatoes, 3% carrots, 3% green beans, 2% mixed berries, St. John's wort, spirulina, yucca extract, green tea extract, and rosemary extract. All good stuff. There's no derivatives of anything in there. And then, of course, we've got our lovely raw meat. Obviously, there's loads of other great brands. I'm not promoting any brand whatsoever. I don't do that. But again, it is what it says on the tin. The composition is British turkey with bone, green tripe, beef kidney, beef liver, fresh carrots, pumpkin, broccoli, curly kale, Scottish cold water, salmon oil, organic virgin olive oil, sea kelp powder, bilberry powder, wheatgrass powder, all the rest. I won't go through each and every one of them, but all absolutely good stuff. Very much.
What's that one? Sorry,
go on.
What was that one? I could see the picture of the dog, but
Nutriment. That was the Nutriment. Then we've got a Nature's Menu one. Again, this says what it is on the tin. None of that is misleading. It's exactly what is in the food. And then when you look at the composition, you can see straight away British chicken with bone, 50%, British lamb's heart, 25%, carrot, lamb liver, apple, butternut squash, spinach, sea kelp, Scottish salmon oil. That's it. That's the ingredients. This one, I love this one. Really good for pancreatic dogs, dogs with kidney complaints, but they've also done another massive range for loads of dogs with other health issues. This is really low fat, so instead of feeding something like your chappy for pancreatitis, you would give this. Again, I won't bore you with all the ingredients, but British green tripe, chicken with bone, fresh carrots, fresh pumpkin, fresh kale. Exactly what it says on the tin. There's no hidden cons where it's like healthy and this and that and the other, and then when you look at it, it's actually just full of derivatives and crap. Then we've got our Benefit Natural, and again, says exactly what's in it. It's not misleading at all. Benefit Natural, I think most of them actually do like little tiny mini ones for people that
that's cute.
yeah,
That
cool. It's for people with little teeny weeny tiny chihuahuas and stuff. They're a little bit concerned about the minces being too chunky, or the bone being a little bit too chunky, or maybe they only need such a teeny tiny amount per day. So they can just buy these little mini ones, which is absolutely great. But I think a few of the other brands also do these, but I'm not exactly
I've never seen that before ever. I like that. Actually,
yeah.
you know, I was thinking puppies and also dogs. For example, you know, Lulu had her colon issue.
Yeah.
We were told to put her on a really bland diet.
Yeah.
And it took longer than. Sorry, they've kicked off. You know what it's like. I would have liked to have given her something like that sooner, rather than keeping her on like boiled, lightly poached meats.
But these are great as well if you're going out for the day. So if you're going, I don't know, camping for a night, or going to a caravan just for a night, and you don't want to take like the whole box of raw if you're only going to need it for one meal. I mean, something like this, maybe not everybody would feel comfortable, but I would shot this frozen in my handbag, and then if you're on the day out, pop the lid off and give your dog to eat it. There you go. There's its dinner sorted. And the handy little tubs to put bits and pieces in as well. Treats and stuff like that if you're going out for the day. So, did everybody enjoy that? Has anybody got any questions about any specific ingredients or? There's
one question, but I don't know if you want to answer it to the person directly that I picked up on. I'm just going to scroll through, because a lot of the stuff that you're saying, like the brands that you've recommended, they're really loved. Definitely, I know people are learning a lot from this talk. I'm just going to scroll back. There was a couple of people's questions. That there was something about moisture someone was asking.
Yes.
Did you see that?
No.
Okay, hold on. Let me find this question. It might be worthwhile going through all of this.
I'll just show you this while you're looking for that. I'll just show them this. Again, Atu is one of the dry foods that are one of the better ones. Again, like I've already said in other talks, this is still an extruded food. So regardless of it being one of the better ones, you can't get away from the fact that it's extruded, which basically means it still has been cooked 4 times. So it's still a highly, highly processed food. But if you are going to feed a dry food, it's something like this that you want to look at. So if you can look at that front and see what it says, 80% chicken, 20% veggies and oils, 0% rubbish. And then again, when you look on the back, the composition clearly tells you exactly what it is. 80% chicken, 50% of which is freshly deboned, 30% is dried. Sweet potatoes, chickpeas, chicken stock, salmon oil, blah, blah, blah. But again, if ever you're going to feed dry food, if you don't want to swap to a fresh food, completely like a raw diet, and you are going to feed something like this, don't forget, it's super, super, super important to add fresh food to the bowl and feed probiotics and a good fish oil and digestive enzymes. Okay, that's it, sorry.
Yeah, no, so there's just two. One was a statement, but I'm not quite sure. Sophie, if you're still here, I'm just reading off that screen, by the way, so I can see who. Sophie Kift said, my food says 70% moisture as an analytical constituent. What on earth is that?
Is that should be feeding a wet food or a raw diet, which is absolutely fine. If we feed in wet food or a raw diet, it will be 70 to 80% moisture, which is absolutely fine and actually very, very good, because that's what a dog's natural diet would be. A raw diet, which would be 70 to 80% moisture, and that's so good for the liver and kidneys, because they're not having to drink and drink and drink and drink like when they're on a dry food. It's so dehydrating because it's only roughly around 10% moisture. So don't worry about that. That's nothing to be concerned. That's a good thing.
Okay, cool. And one last one for me, because I saw them at Crufts and I was having a conversation while I was talking to somebody else. Have you heard of Carney Love?
No.
Yeah, this seems to be a new kid on the block, or maybe it's not a new kid on the block. So I'd be interested to see. Maybe you could pop a comment on that. I know someone else said that they've got their puppy on Carney Love.
Right.
Like carnivore. No, Carney Love, it seems to be. Let me just do some action here, because, guys, we are now going off script here. So I was just asking, because Carl hasn't heard of this one. It might be that its marketing is just picked up, I think. Hold on.
Yeah,
Carney Love.
there's new stuff coming out all the time, which is really exciting.
Carney Love. I'm going to find it for you.
I know there's another lightly cooked food on the market that Emma Rutherford was actually talking to, so I'm interested to look into that. And Butternut Box is another one that does that. Don't know a great deal about them, but I'm actually a little bit disappointed in them, in the fact that apparently a friend that was there had noticed that every time somebody like spoke to them, they were like, oh yeah, we cooked because, you know, if you don't want to feed a raw diet because of the bacteria. And I was like, oh, come on. You are doing a good thing by providing fresh food. Why do you have to use that as a marketing tool? It's just...
I didn't like them, and I'll say this to everyone on here. I can never come from a place of judgment. And we were talking to them about the charity. Everyone who knows, who's been on my personal page, knows I was running around in a dog outfit. I was helping a specific charity, who we won't go into breed specifics. And we were talking to them about the charity and about, you know, obviously potentially getting them involved. And this girl turned around and said, we might be a bit expensive for your members. And I went, I don't think you know a single thing about this breed. Because that particular... Yeah, I didn't. No, sorry, I won't talk about them, because I just, that, and hearing what you said about bacteria.
Well, I'm going to be going to Crufts next year, and I will be going to their stand. And if I hear them mention one thing about bacteria, I will be having a very long and quite stern conversation with them, because that is just bad crack. Using that as a marketing tool. Do you let them do, you know, if you're proud of your brand and what you do, why would you need to use that? Oh yeah, you know, feed this if you're worried about the bacteria. They must know that there's no risk of the bacteria. Come on.
To be honest, Carla, it was in the nicest possible way. I loved some of the other raw companies that you talked about, and they were great because we went on and had a chat. Yeah. Some of the feeding stands, not just butter squash box, whatever they're called, that's how irrelevant they are now to me. They, for me, did not have specialists on the food stands that could answer questions. They had teenagers that they paid to do a trade show.
Well, I can't wait. I can't wait for next year, because I will be asking some serious questions and wanting to know, what do they mean by the bacteria, and where have they got their information from, and where is the studies, and where is this and where is that. So I don't think they'll particularly like me. I'll probably get kicked out of Crufts next year, because I'll be protesting outside of Royal Canin and stuff. And apparently, I know this is totally going off topic, apparently they were putting like frontline on dogs that didn't have fleas or worms, and I'm like, oh god. So I don't know why
I won't be going back. I had and I won't distract from your talk. I thought, no, I think there is space in the industry now for someone to come along and do something new in terms of the trade shows. I thought it was over. What I really liked was the dog shows. I really liked the fact that if you weren't a dog owner, there was a big section which was sponsored by Frontline, in terms of like pens, where you could see different breeds to actually get to know something about the breeds of dogs. I like that.
Yes, I've heard that was really good, but
yeah, Crufts, no, I wouldn't go. It was dominated. When you look at people like, for example, you know, Hound, who we recommend on this group, who are a huge brand. They're not only with us, but like Pets at Home and other people, and they do their shampoo. And I looked at amazing brands like them, and then I looked at the square footage that was overtaken by, you know, what you're talking. This goes back to the first point that you made. The very first thing that you said, Carla, on this talk was like talking about advertising budget. When the top,
absolutely,
and it's Mars and it's Procter and Gamble. I mean, like they can just make it rain.
Oh God, they've got billions to spend. Literally, it's not even millions. They're literally multi-billion-pound companies, so they can make their product sound absolutely amazing when they're absolutely crap.
Can I get you to answer one question? Because there's a lady in here I know who's struggling with a dog because her dog's been poorly. I think it's Sophie again, but I do want to cover it. So the question is, it is Sophie. She's been told to take her dog off raw because she's had stomach surgery, and they said she couldn't cope with the bacteria. And I know this particular firm mum wants to feed raw. How can I comfortably feed raw in case anything happens and they judge me?
So has the dog, I mean, I can't comment on, I've got to be very careful about commenting on things like this, but if the dog has recently just had surgery and she doesn't want to feed a raw diet for a little while, just in case they do judge her or she's worried, feed a lightly cooked home diet. You don't have to feed the meat fully cooked, but you could just very, very, very lightly cooked, so it's just to say cooked through, or you could feed something like Country Hunter or Fourth Glade for a little while until they're all healed, and then swap back to the raw diet. But I can't really comment and say, yeah, do this, do that, because then if there was any issues, then I might get into trouble. But personally,
I like the advice you gave, like lightly cooked or Country Hunter, and I think that definitely
something like that I would do if you were worried. And sometimes I think when dogs have had surgery as well, a little bit of home cooking can be quite comforting for them as well, because you can give them it warm, and if the dog's feeling a little bit under the weather, and you can make some lovely bone broth or buy some bone broth if you don't want to make
bone broth. If you're anything like me, I've failed.
Well, Emma was actually, was it Emma or Steph? I can't remember, I've lost track. We're talking about a company that were at Crufts that look quite good, that's dehydrated bone broth. So I'm not sure what it is or who made it. I just seen it briefly pop up on my news feed, and I thought that would be really good for people that don't have time or the inclination to make it. You know, it would be a little bit like Bisto, but without all the crap in it. You know what I mean? You could just reheat it up and pour it over your dog's food, which would be quite a good thing for, you know, some dogs that are a bit like, they don't like the raw when it's really cold. Could make a little bit of nice hot bone broth and pour that over the top, and they'd absolutely love it, especially in the winter when it's cold. I mean, dogs like us, you know, people expect, even with raw, just to get it out of the fridge, it'd be freezing cold, and they should eat it and should like it. Well, some dogs like it at room temperature, some dogs like pill to be taken off, but obviously never do it with a microwave, because the microwave just wrecks the nutrients. But doing something like that with a little bit of bone broth, and they're fighting now.
They've been fighting for like the last thing. And by the way, guess what that little monk cow bag did whilst I was talking? You know, I had to get up.
Yeah.
Found this. That's why I got up. Sorry, I've had an amazing time. This has been absolutely brilliant as always, Carla. So what we're gonna
enjoy it.
Yeah, no, it was good. It was really good. I've got one question for you.
Yeah.
This is just between me and you. What are you gonna do with all those bags of food?
Oh, they go back at me. I call it the cupboard of doom, which is the cupboard that's under my stairs. I open it and like everything falls out, and I just throw it back in and like shut the door as quickly as I can. And I've got like these huge plastic Tupperware boxes, so when I go all over doing my talks, I have to get them out the cupboard of doom, put them in the car, go up my talk, set them all up, put them all back, then come back, get them out the car and put them. It drives me insane, I swear down. But
I was really hoping you were going to go back to all these places where you bought this food from. A lot of shit.
Do you know what the worst thing is? These are probably about 3 years old, so can you imagine what they're like inside? They'd be absolutely right.
You know what? I bet, I'm not going to ask you to do it now, but have you ever seen that thing about the Big Mac that gets left for a year and doesn't go mouldy?
Well, Emma Rutherford did one as well.
Have you not seen it?
No, I haven't seen that, but she did one with kibble, and she left it in a jar for like about 2 years, and like it just never ever changed. It just looked
That's probably what's happened to your trees. One day, please, if you ever film it, open those up and tell us what they look like.
Can you imagine? Oh, yeah, they'll probably be exactly the same. Yeah, so that's what I have to do. So my whole cupboard downstairs is taken over with disgusting pet food. But I really like it on my talks to have like, I have a big massive table and I have like a good section and a bad section, because I think it's really good for people to actually be able to come and visualize as well. And then obviously when I do this section, I can pick them up and talk to them and point this stuff out, rather than just going, oh, so Baker's is rubbish and Royal Cannon's rubbish. And it's good for them, like in the breaks, to actually be able to go over and pick the bag up and have like a little look and a read themselves.
No, that's a really good idea. Okay, my lovely. Listen, we've had an amazing time with you. Thank you so much. Can everyone just give a little virtual thank you to Carla, who spent her evening coming to talk to you guys.
My pleasure.
So we're going to get back together in a fortnight's time. I'll be interested to see what you come back with. Someone's just told me to stick some Bacardi in that Coke. No, that's not for a Monday night. We save those for Fridays. I have Saturdays off. Someone's telling me to start drinking on a Monday night. No, I'm really excited to see what your next talk is about, Carla. And I will try and, I know some comments and things like that. There might be some stuff that people want to come back to. If you've enjoyed the talk with Carla, just let her know what bits you most enjoyed, what you found most helpful. It just gives us a chance as well to know what's beneficial and what's made your day and things like that. If you've got friends in the group or you have dog friends outside of this group, I'm sorry, stop it, enough.
Don't you just love them?
I know, but they have stopped now. If you have a friend outside of this group and you think that the information that Carla's just given tonight, they really need to hear this, but they're not part of this group, that's fine. We are the more the merrier. Just invite them into this group. I will approve them if you invite them, and you can tag them in this post. The most important thing is about giving dog owners the information to help them live like the happiest and longest lives possible. So,
knowledge, like I always say, knowledge is power. Unless you know this stuff, you're not going to know, and just feed it, aren't you? So
yeah, right, fabulous. Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening, and I'll speak to you soon. Take care. Bye. Oh.